They are classic, timeless, and gorgeous all summer long. If you're dreaming of a yard full of roses, but you need a little help about how to take care of them, we've got you covered. We are here for you. Expert Jessica Berrett joins me with advice you'll need for a thriving rose garden this summer. Jessica, these are so beautiful, but there's a lot to think about, I think, when we think about growing roses and keeping them healthy all season long. There's a lot to do.
Yes. Yeah. They're not as hard as people think, though.
Okay, that's good.
I think they have a reputation for being fussy, but they're actually not that tricky.
Okay, she's going to let us easy on this because we have a few different varieties we're going to talk about. And the first one, I said, is this right? It's the Teas variety, hybrid teas rose.
Yeah.
We're talking about Teas that you drink.
Yeah. So a hybrid tea rose is kind of your classic larger flower, the long stem. Those are the ones that are the easiest for us to cut and bring inside for a bouquet. But that's the type of rose that you'd call
Which
a hybrid
ones are, do you have any here?
Yes. So any of these here that you can see have a longer stem and a flower that's a little bit larger, something that you would, see in a classic rose bouquet, that's going to be your hybrid teas. And of all the roses, they're probably maybe the trickiest. Not super tricky, but might take a little bit more care.
Oh, really? Why is that?
The newer roses that are more of they call them drift roses or knockout roses, those are bred to have flowers all summer long, all over the shrub, and they're just easier care. They don't really need a lot of deadheading, and they'll just constantly bloom all summer. So those are kind of the landscape roses that we see most often in people's yards. And that's kind of what I've got down here along the front. All of these that have covered in blooms all summer. Those are the ones that I would recommend if you're new to roses and you just really want a lot of fun, colorful, rose blooms in your yard. The knockout.
Those are the better.
Yeah.
Okay, now the floribundas. What are we talking about when we say floribundas?
So those are almost a cross between those two.
Okay.
They're kind of a medium-sized bloom, more blooms than a hybrid tea, but not quite as many little blooms as a landscape rose.
Okay, and are we looking at one here anywhere? She's like, she has to find it.
I'm looking for it. This red one, or this pink one right here.
This pink one,
So it's got a little bit more blooms, a little bit smaller, and
I like how bushy it is.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Okay, another kind is a shrub or a landscape rose. Is that more what you were talking about, all these here in the front?
Yeah, and those you're gonna find really easily at the nurseries, and those are just so easy care.
So easy care and bloom more often throughout the year, you said. Mm-hmm. And the last one, climbers.
Yeah, so climbing roses, this red and white striped one down here is a climbing rose. Those are going to grow really long, tall canes, and so it's important to have some kind of structure that you can attach them to. So any kind of arbor or arch that you have in your yard is great for those. They do need to be held on because they don't grab things on their own. So some
you can't just twist them around.
Yeah.
And is this what you would recommend? A garden tie?
I like
Velcro
ties, yeah, but you can use zip ties, you can use twist ties, you can use anything, but you are going to have to attach it to your structure.
This is just a revelation to me right here. I love this idea because I have structures, but I'm just always trying to twist my flowers around it. So you can get garden Velcro. Who knew about that? Okay, so you'd mentioned beginners. You would maybe you called them the knockout roses.
Knockout roses, drift roses are another type. Any kind of rose that's called a landscape rose, those are not going to require as much deadheading. They're going to be more disease resistant, and they're just going to bloom constantly.
Okay, let's talk about deadheading because that is something you said, especially with these kind, that you need to do quite often. When would we think about deadheading?
So deadheading is what is going to keep that bush trying to make more blooms as much as possible.
I'm going to let you come over.
Sure. So when a bloom has kind of reached, its peak where it's not quite as pretty anymore, we'll go down to above a leaflet of 5 and trim that off.
Why? That's what we're looking for? I never knew that. We're looking for a leaflet of 5 to cut right above it. Why is that?
It just helps the plant regenerate its new side stem a little bit better if you take it down to that 5.
See, also, I do the lazy kind. I just pop this off. That's not going to do enough.
Yeah, I would go down a little further than that. And if they're flopping all around or in the way, you can cut them down lower. You need to sometimes adjust for your landscape, and if they're getting in the way, you can trim them lower.
I've already learned 2 amazing things. The 5-leaf, the Velcro gardening tape. Okay, let's talk about diseases. You mentioned sometimes roses can get disease, and you said you might be thinking, oh, grandma's roses don't look very good. But you said it's different now. You can get different types now that don't have the disease.
Yeah, so probably our main disease problems here are going to be the bugs called aphids. I think most of us are probably familiar with those. They're tiny little green or black bugs, and those will often collect on the buds. The easiest way to deal with those is to just spray them off with a stream of water. Sometimes if I have a lot, I'll put some water and a little squeeze of dish soap in a sprayer and spray them down, and they just suffocate, and then I just spray them off. So it's a really earth-friendly way to deal with those little bugs. And then another is powdery mildew, which is kind of
I've had that on my lupin before.
Yeah, it's like a white dusty stuff. And the best way to deal with that is to try not to water overnight, water early in the morning so the leaves can evaporate during the day and not stay wet for too long. Oh. And it's kind of that airflow that's going to help with that.
Yes.
But like you were saying, a lot of our modern roses are bred to be more resistant to those, to
That's so nice to know.
To powdery mildew.
So if you had a disease plant earlier, don't think it's going to happen every time. They're different breeds now.
Yeah,
okay.
If you've had one for a long time and it's just struggled for a long time, maybe look at a different variety. Newer varieties are more resistant.
You need someone like her to tell us what's up, though. We need Jessica. Okay, let's talk about, you are a member of the Utah Rose Society, and you guys have something fun coming up, and we can find it on Facebook.
Yeah, so the Utah Rose Society has an amazing Facebook page. Tons of people sharing all their photos, sharing all their knowledge. You don't need to be a member of the Rose Society to be on that page. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in roses to jump on that page. You'll learn a lot. And the Rose Society is also having their annual show this Saturday, June 7th. And it's at the Sugar House Garden Center.
Ooh, and you can just come and get all the info you need. Okay,
Yep.
Okay, go to the Facebook page to find out. Thank you so much for your expertise, Kelsey. We appreciate you.
Yeah.